Before we get started with making the drumstick bag, one of the things I wanted to do is show you the tools I will be using. Everyone have their own choice of tools that they use, but I'm going to show you what I will be using to make this drumstick bag. I will be using a pair of leather scissors. I have this pair of scissors here, which I will use to cut my zipper teeth. I have a pair of scissors for paper that we will cut the pattern out with, and I also have a rotary cutter. I have two round punches. One is a 3/16 and the other one is a 3/32 of an inch punch, and you'll see how I use those. I have a mallet. I have a pounding board and a ruler, two zippers, and some rivets, some double cap rivets, and of course your leather. So let's get started. In this video, what I want to do is show you how to make a drumstick bag. This style here is from the 70s. You don't find these anymore, and so I just want to show you how to make these. You don't have to make them exactly like I'm showing you, but it's just a process. You can, as far as your pockets, you can make your pockets any size you want to. You don't have to put pockets on it. I only have a pocket on one side, no pocket on the other side. And I also have these, I don't even know what they're called, but what they're used for is to hang the drumstick bag on the drum itself. On this one, you can see where it's pulled on the inside, so when you're not using it, you can pull it on the inside. And just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Now, this one, I even put a strap on it. I don't even know if the ones back in the 70s had a strap on it like this here, which is a shoulder strap. You have this little hand strap here that you can use. But I decided to put a shoulder strap on it. You have a pocket here. Now your pocket, it don't even have to zip up. You can have it to where it's open, or have a flap that snaps. Like I said, you can design it to give it your look. And we unzip this. So here. You have pockets on the inside where you put your drumstick. And not being a drummer, I thought, there was something wrong when I first saw one of these, that it was not zipped up from the bottom, and not realizing when you zip it up and close it up at the top, the sticks cannot come out. So that's something that I did not realize. Like I say, these can be pulled on the inside when they're not being used. Now, this is one that I did, and I wanted to dedicate this one to women. So this one is my Woman Power drumstick bag. Made the same, but beautiful pink leather. Not sure what color the inside is. Okay, inside is pink. And you can make this out of any type of leather you want to. Sometime I would do them in two different colors. The inside could be same color as the pocket. But one of the things that a lot of women kept coming into the shop and they were seeing the bag on the table and they would ask me, was it a clutch bag? So I decided to make a clutch bag out of the same pattern that we use for the drumstick bag. The difference is, I mean, it is the exact same pattern. The difference is that it have two zippers that meet in the middle. So this is the inside of the bag. And the great thing about this bag is that if you're traveling and you want to carry this bag and carry it inside of your suitcase, you can actually unzip this bag and it will lay flat. So the difference between this bag and the drumstick bag, look, it is a little bigger. I did make it a little bigger. I didn't realize that. But it's the pockets, is how the pockets are set up. This one, the pockets are set up vertical. This one, the pockets are set up horizontal. So you have two pockets inside. On the outside, I have a large pocket on the outside, and on the other side of it I have two pockets. So this is a way to take that same pattern, the drumstick pattern, and make a clutch bag out of it. So now what I'll do, I'll show you how to make the pattern. Okay, now what I'm going to do is show you how to make the pattern. So we'll start off with the bag itself. I'll take the strap off. And your measurement will be turn it this way, get this right. The measurements are 16 and a half by 16 and a half by 18 and a half. Okay, the measurement is 16 and a half by 18 and a half. So what we'll do, we'll make 18 and a half by 16 and a half. Moved on me. 16 and a half. Okay, now that is the the bag itself. Now for my corners, when I round them off, I will just use anything that would allow me to round off my corners. So I'm just going to take this can and I'm going to round off this back. Round off my corners. And I would only do it on one side. And then what I will do is I will cut it out and then fold it and cut the other two sides, so in that way I know that both sides are the same. But you know, you may have another way of doing that. I'm just showing you the way that I do mine. Now the other measurement is the inside pocket. So I don't have to make a second pocket. Basically what I need to do is take a measurement, which is make that a little longer. So I'm going to make it I'm going to make it 9.5, which is, it's 9.5 from here to here. So on my pattern, I'm going to mark out 9.5. So I need to cut out a piece that's 9.5 inches. So this is my inside pocket, which is 9.5. I don't have to cut out a second pattern because I can use this same pattern to make my pocket. So I know once I cut out this pattern, I can use the same pattern to make my inside pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. You know, there's one thing I forgot to do was the pocket. Let me take a measurement of the pocket and we will cut out a pattern for the pocket. The pocket is 11 inches by 6 inches. So we'll cut out pocket, which is 11 by 6. Okay, 11 by 6. Six inches. Inches. this don't look right. Okay. 6. Okay. It's 11 by 6 inches. I'll cut this out. I'm going to go ahead and round off. You don't have to do this. You can make it any shape you want to. But me personally, I prefer to round mine off. As before, I'm going to take this, fold it, find my center, round off my edges, now this is my pocket. So now we have all the pieces for the pattern. So now we'll trace it out and cut it out. Okay, now that we have the pattern cut out, which is, we have the pocket, we have this piece here which is going to be the pattern for these 4 pieces, and the bag itself. Now the inside pocket, we will cut it out using the same pattern that we're using for the bag itself. Let me turn this around. Okay, so now what we'll do, we will select our leather. Now what I'm going to use is, this is called a stoned oiled leather hide. It's about 4 ounces, and it's pretty stiff, but it's good for making the drumstick bag. Now I also have a second piece of leather here, which is a distress. This is maybe a 2 to 3 ounce, and this doesn't have so much resistance. It's not as stiff as this leather here. So I'm going to use this here for the bag itself, and I'll use this distressed leather for the pockets and the straps. So now what we'll do, we will cut out the bag and the pockets. I'm going to do, take my pattern, or trace it out, and I'm using chalk. You can use whatever you desire. You can use a pen, or you can use chalk, or whatever works for you, but I'm going to use this chalk. going to make me a center mark here. I'll just make it here. This is my center. Okay, now what I will do, I will cut this out and then I will make the pattern for the pocket and the straps. Okay, now what I'll do is cut the bag out. What I will do, I will use my scissors to trim around the corners. Bag. Now what I will do, I will cut out the pocket. I'll take this piece here, cut out the outside pocket. I will cut out me 4 pieces of this. this is the inside pocket, which is, take the strap off. Which is this pocket here. So what you're looking at here is this pocket here. That's your inside pocket. And this is your outside pocket. And we're going to cut out we have 4 pieces like this one. Which will go up here. One will be here and one will be over on this side. So the next thing we will do is that I'm going to glue the top part of this pocket. And what I will do, I'm going to glue it over a half an inch, so I'm going to measure off 1 inch so I can have a half an inch seam. So I will measure off 1 inch, which will allow me to have a half inch seam, so when I sew it, it'll give it a finished look at the top. So I'll go ahead and glue this top part. I'm using the contact cement glue, but you can also use your water-based glue to do this. So I'll just glue a 1 inch area . Now what I'll do, I'll stitch across the top of this, and that will give this a finished look. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam on the top of the pocket. Now you don't have to do this. You don't have to fold the top of your pocket over and sew it. I like doing it because it gives it a finished look, but it's not something that you have to do. So just keep that in mind. Now what we will do, we can actually start putting the drumstick bag together. That's how simple this is to do and how quick and easy it is to do. The next thing I want to do is show you how to put the zipper in for your pocket. Now you don't have to put a zipper in, you don't even have to put a pocket on it. But if you do put a pocket on it, there are several ways you can do it. You could do it to where you have a zipper. It could zip vertical or horizontal. Vertical will allow you to be able to get inside much easier. Horizontal, because it is such a small pocket, and if you put something off in there, it's hard to get your hand in there to get it out. So this gives you good access to what's inside of your pocket. Now this is just another piece that I'm working on, but this is another example of how you can do a pocket to where you can just have a piece that's cut out like this. You know, how deep you want it or how wide you want it, and then you can just sew on a flap. And the flap could be, it doesn't have to be as deep as this, but you can use a snap to close it, or you can use a magnetic clasp. But because it's only one piece of leather, excuse me, it doesn't have a secondary, I use a snap, something that's very simple. So that's another way that you can put a pocket on your bag. So I'm going to show you how to put the zipper in. So basically what I will do is that I will take a ruler, and you can do this on the back side, but normally what I will do, and you can use your own technique of measuring, but I will just take the pocket, I'll fold it in half, get my center, and once I have my center, I will draw a line down the center. And once I have that line drawn, I will decide I'm going to have my zipper to stop at 1 inch. I'll make it 1.5 inch from the bottom, and I'll make it stop 1.5 inch from the top. And then what I will do, I will punch a hole. Let's see, I want to make sure I'm doing this right. It's the bottom. So my larger hole, I will punch it at the bottom. See this? I'm punching it at the bottom, right at the cross line where it crosses. And then I will punch another hole the other end. And then what I will do, I will cut my line. Now the reason I punched a hole is because if I just cut down this line here and do not punch that hole, it can, over a period of time, it can begin to tear away from each other. By punching the hole, it allows the stress to go around. It doesn't find one place to start to wear and tear. So that stress just goes around and it doesn't affect the line you're going to cut over a period of time. So basically what I would do, so I just cut the line. Now this is my window for my pocket. Now my zipper is longer than what I need for it to be, but that's okay. So it will go inside and it's almost like a hidden zipper. And you don't have to make it to where it's like this. You can make it to where you can see it. But I'm making it to where it's sort of a hidden zipper. That's going to be the zipper. So we'll glue it down, cut the zipper, sew it in, and then we can sew the pocket onto the bag itself. So that would be our next step. Now one of the things I do want to show you before we put the pocket on is you want to make sure you put the pocket on in the right order. Let's take this bag and just kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about. Because we have to put in the inside pocket, but we also have to put on this outside pocket, we want to make sure that we put the outside pocket on first. Because once we put the outside pocket on and we stitch it, and if you notice, see, let me back up. If I put the inside pocket on first and then put the outside pocket on, and when I sew around the outside pocket, what will happen is that I will sew into the inside pocket. So you want to make sure that you put the outside pocket on first, stitch it, and then put the inside pocket. Now, earlier when I spoke about this process is the same process I use to make this clutch bag. Check this out. It's the same thing. If you make this bag, what I did was this time I sewed the inside pocket in first. So in that way, when I sew the outside pocket, well then it's sewed around the inside pocket. So you want to make sure that you really think it through before you start to install your pockets on the outside and for the inside, so you don't sew one into the other one. So I just want to just kind of just touch base and bring that to your attention before we do the pocket. Okay, now that we have our pocket cut out, I'm going to go ahead and glue it And we're going to go ahead and glue our pocket. I'm using contact cement glue. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue around the area that I cut my pocket window, and the glue is to hold it until I sew it. Like I said earlier, you don't have to put a pocket on your bag, but if you're making it for drummers, or you're making for and it's not for you personal, I would put a pocket on it. Now I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to cut my zipper off. And this line here that I drew where I will punch my hole, I'm going to cut my zipper. I'm going to cut the teeth out. But I still want to leave some of the teeth on, so I don't cut it too close. This is the zipper. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to sew around the zipper to stitch it down. Okay, now what I'll do is that I'll sew around the zipper to sew it in. I'm going to start from the bottom. Basically what I'm using as my guide is that I'm looking at this part of the foot right here, and I'm maybe 1/4 of an inch from the zipper, but that's my guide. So you just kind of pick something to use as your guide, and that's what you can use. Or you can use a pencil or some chalk and draw a line to help you out. Now at this point I'm going to raise the foot, zip the zipper down so I can get past it. Do a half stitch. Now that we have the zipper sewn in, now we can sew the pocket onto the bag. Okay, now that we have the pocket sewn, the zipper sewn into the pocket, the next thing we'll do is glue and sew the pocket onto the bag. So what I will do, I will determine where I'm going to put my pocket. I think I'm going to use this as my top. So I'll put my pocket, and you can make a decision on how far up you want to put your pocket or how far down you want to put it. Well, you don't want to put it too far up because we're going to put the straps. So you don't want to do that. So you want to bring it down to where it's at least 2 inches from the bottom. So I will determine where I'm going to put it, and then I will just get a pencil, and you can come up with a way to register your markings. And basically what I'm going to do, because this leather here is, you could scratch it, rub it out, I'm going to take a pencil and just draw me some type of marking that I can put it back in the same place. So I have these 4 markings here, and I can put it back in the same place. So I'm using contact cement glue, and the glue is only to hold it until I can sew it. So now I'll take the pocket. I have my 4 markings. I have one here, here, and here. So I'll just put this back. Now the next thing I'll do is sew the pocket on, and then after I do that, we will put the zipper in, glue the zipper, and then the inside pocket. Okay, now that we have the pocket glued to the bag, we are now going to sew it. And I'm sewing this at 1/4 inch. And I'm starting at the bottom in the center. You know, I know sometime someone will send me a message saying that their machine is making marks on the leather. For some leather, you are going to get that, and this type of leather here, which is the distressed type of leather, you will get that type of effect to where it will leave marks, but there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you start to cut into the leather, then you need to adjust your pressure foot, which is right here. Just to let you know about that, because some people have that problem. Okay, now that we have the pocket sewn on, now we can put the zipper in and then put the inside pocket on. Okay, now that we have the pocket sewed onto the bag, now we're going to install the zipper, and then we will put the inside pocket in. So the zipper, just to give you an idea what size zipper I'm using, this is a 24-inch zipper. It is a 24-inch separating zipper, and what I mean by separating is that it comes apart. Some zippers do not come apart, so you want to make sure you use a separating zipper when you do this. So basically what I do is I will take my zipper and I know that when I zip it up, I want my zipper to be like this. So I will unzip my zipper, and I know that this one here is going to turn over this way. And this one on the other side would turn over this way. So what I do is that I put a mark on my zipper so I know which side of the zipper that I need to glue to the drumstick bag itself. Because if I glue it in the wrong way, it will not zip the way it should. Now, earlier I put my center mark, and if you did not, what you can do, you can just fold it. You can just fold your bag and then get your center mark and put a mark there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, see, this will start here. Bring this down to here. So what I'm doing at this stop right here, where the zipper stops, I am lining that up with my center mark. And then when I do the other side, I will line it up with that center mark. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to clamp it down first and then make sure that everything is lined up the way I want it lined up before I glue it down. I'll get some clamps. Okay, what I'm going to do first is clamp down my zipper just to make sure that I have everything marked correctly before I glue it. Now when I get in this corner here, I'm going to make sure that I curve the zipper with that corner. This is just temporary. So in this way, I can also mark at the bottom of the zipper, so I put glue where I need to and I don't go too far. Take this one. Now what I'll do, I will zip this up just to check it, to make sure that everything lines up. See, this is what I mean by if it's going to line up. See how this is not straight? So I need to go back and I need to figure out why, and I can see why. It's because this end here, this end of the zipper is closer to the bottom than this one over here. So that's making it line up to where it's not lined up correctly. So what I'll do, I'll go back and redo this. This time what I'm going to do, I'm going to line up the tip of the zipper to line up with my center mark. So I'll try that to see if that works. Because if you don't get this right, and and you go in and just glue the zipper down and sew it, and then you check it, then you have a problem. To avoid that problem, you want to do that now. And another way you can do it, you can also go ahead and glue it, but don't sew it. Glue it, be very gentle when you're zipping it and unzipping it. And after we do this process, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now that fit much better. It still looks to be off right here, but I think once we actually glue it down, we will be able to, because it's lined up the way it should be. So we're gonna glue it down, and then we will zip it up after we glue it. Mark this so I'll know how far down to glue. Okay, now what we'll do is glue it. I'm using a contact cement glue. Now the other thing is that when I put this zipper on, I don't want my zipper teeth to be too close to the edge of the leather. If it's too close, it'll be kind of hard for it to zip up. So I'm going to give it just a little room. So I'm going to look at it from this side. So I'm giving it just a little room that it's not just flush up against the leather. Now, when I get around this corner here, I want to make sure that I curve this. See if you can see this. Make sure I curve it. And when it does that, it's going to have these little pleats here. But you'll be able to sew right over the top of that. But you want to curve that zipper. I'm going to put these clamps on here just to put a little pressure on the glue so it'll stick better. Now I'm going to do the other side. Now again, I want to make sure that my zipper is not too close. So you can see this. It's not too close to the leather. Which will allow it to zip up much better. Again, I have to turn this corner here. gonna let it dry for about 5 minutes and then we'll test it. We'll let this dry for about 5 minutes. Okay, let's test it out and see if it's gonna work. If not, we would just take one side of the zipper off, readjust it, and make it work the way it should. Okay, here we go. And when you do this, you want to make sure you're being very gentle. Okay, that works just fine. It lines up the way it should lines up. So, let's take this back off. Now what we're going to do, we're going to glue in the inside pocket. And the same thing with the inside pocket. When we glue this in, we don't want it to be too close to the zipper itself. You want to give it just a little space, so in that way when it's time to zip it, you have no problem zipping. So we'll make sure it's not too close. So I will mark this so I'll know where to stop my glue line. Okay? So now what I'll do is glue the pocket in, and I'm using contact cement glue. So I'll glue this part first. Now I'll glue around the pocket. Now I will attach the pocket to the bag. And I want to make sure that I'm not, like I said before, not too close to that zipper, to the zipper teeth. And remember, this leather is flexible. bend it, make it do what you want it to do. This have come back apart, so I need to re-glue. I need to re-glue this. Okay, we're gonna let this set for about 5 minutes and then we will sew it. Okay, now that we have the inside pocket glued in and the zipper glued in, now we're going to stitch it. And I'm going to start the bottom center, and I'm sewing about 1/4 inch seam, and I'm sewing from the top. At this point, I'm going to raise the foot and push the zipper back up so it's out of my way. This is it. The next thing I'll do is that I will draw some lines and I will stitch 2 more pockets. I will separate this into 3 pockets. I'll make it one, second, a little slim one, and then a third one. See, I may have to pull this back loose right here. What happened was that this moved on me and it's right up against that zipper. So we'll see. Okay. This is the bag. So now what we'll do, like I say, we'll sew the inside pocket to break it up into 3 pockets, put the strap on, and this bag will be done. That's how simple these are. Okay, now that we have the pocket and the zipper sewed in, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sew the pocket into 3 separate pockets. So basically what I would do, before I do that, one of the things that I want to do is show you again on this particular bag here, the difference between this bag, which is a large clutch bag that have 2 zippers that opens from the top. The difference between this bag and the drumstick bag is that this one here, it have 2 zippers that meet. And basically what I did, just so you kind of understand how I put this together, tape measure as far as the zipper. So what I did was that I took my zipper and I measured my zipper. This is a 20, this is a, see how long is this zipper. This is a 16-inch zipper. So I took 2 16-inch zippers and I think this bag here, just so you can kind of give you an idea, I took the 2 16-inch zippers and came up with the length of this bag here. Which is 20 inches. By 19 inches. But I took two 16-inch zippers and was able to put them in, and that allowed the bag to close, where the zippers came right down to where they need to come at the bottom and stop where they need to stop at the top. But once you start to work on it, you will be able to figure it out. But like I say, both of these bags are pretty much the same. This one just a little bigger than the drumstick bag. But I just want to show you that, to show you they are the same. Just that this zipper here is only one zipper, and it starts here and zip all the way back around to here. On that bag, the zipper starts here and stops in the center, and then a second it comes up to here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make my inside pocket 3 separate pockets. Now again, earlier when I talked about making sure that you sew your pockets in the right order, by sewing on the outside pocket first and then the inside pocket. That allowed, if I would have sewn the inside pocket first and then outside pocket, I would have sewn through the inside pocket. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that my stitch line is not going to stitch into my outside pocket. So I will just make a line. Here, and then I'll do a second line, and I'm using the ruler as one of the lines that's coming across to line up with the top of the pocket to make sure that it's straight. So I'm going to do a second pocket. See this. So this will be one pocket, this small area will be a pocket, and this one here will be a pocket. So now what I'll do, I'll just stitch down these 2 lines. Oh, the other thing I'm going to go ahead and do also, I'm going to go ahead and make the strap, cut out the strap and sew it. This is the strap here, and the strap is going to be make it 13 inches by 1 inch. So we have 13 by 1. So I'm going to cut the strap out at 13 by 2 inches, and I'll fold the strap to where it will turn out from 2 inches into 1 inch. So I'll cut out my strap. I'll write this on the pattern. The strap is 13 inches by 2 inch. That's what I'm cutting out, 13 by 2, but it's going to turn into a 13 by 1. now I'm going to cut it out 2 inches wide. Okay, my strap is 13 by 2. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue it and turn it into a 13 by 1. Now, before I do that, I want to show you something else. This bag this bag, I made a strap to go with it. Now, this is a shoulder strap, which will clamp onto this D-ring. I have a D-ring at the top, and I have one at the bottom. So basically what I did was that I took a D-ring, I wrapped a piece of leather around it, and I placed it at the top, and I placed one at the bottom. And I just rivet those in. And that is what I use to connect the strap to. The strap is a 1-inch strap, and the strap is, but if you're going to make one, you can make it for whatever length you want it, but this particular strap here, just to give you an idea of the length of it, I cut it out 34 inches long, and I cut it out 34 inches long, but I used 2 inches to wrap one end and 2 inches to wrap the other end. But you can cut the strap out to be as long as you want. And also, when I made the strap, I took a 2-inch piece of leather like this, I glued it, and I turned the leather inward like this in order to make the strap. But for this particular strap, which is the hand strap, I'm going to glue it, and I'm just going to just turn it, fold it over like this. So that's the difference in the way these two straps are folded. This one is folded inward, and this one is just folded flat like this. So just in case you decide to do a strap on this bag, I am not putting a strap on it, but I wanted to show you that. And also, if you want to know how to do the straps like this, if you look at the how to make a messenger bag video, you will see this process. But I just wanted you to know how I did this other bag. But on this one, I'm not going to do that. I'm using contact cement glue. You don't have to use contact cement glue for this. You could use the water-based glue. But I'm going to use the contact cement glue on this. I'm gonna let that dry for a minute. Now I'll just take this and I'm just going to fold it I'm just making sure that both sides are even as I fold this. If it's not, you can pull it back apart. See how this came out to be uneven, so I need to pull this back apart. And fold it back. I'm going to let that dry. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to punch the holes and cut this piece here so my strap will be able to fit inside. So what I'll do, okay, basic what I'm ready to do now is I've cut out my two pieces here. One is going to be one on this side and it's going to be one on the other side. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut out this split here in order to put my strap through there. So what I will do is that I will take a 1/32 of an inch punch, and I'm going to first, let me back up a bit. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line, and the line is about an inch and a half from the top. So I'm just going to draw a line across. And I'll do the same thing here. So now that I have my line, I want my opening to be just big enough to put the strap in there. So actually what I can do is just make a mark here on the side, and I'm going to punch a hole right here where I have those two marks. So I punch the holes, and now what I'll do, I will cut in between the holes. Now you can use whatever works for you. I'm going to use the X-Acto knife. I mean, you can actually use a single edge razor blade to do it. I'm going to use this X-Acto knife. And so what I'll do, I will now cut this from one hole to the other hole. And the reason why I punched a hole is because if I just make a split here, that can keep tearing over a period of time. By making a hole, it allows the stress to go in a circular motion instead of going just straight. So basically this will do, that this will fit in like this, which is this here. Just fit right in like that. And I will put this in after I sew this to the bag. So we will cut the second one, and then we will sew them onto the bag. We'll sew these onto the bag, and we will sew the strap in the inside pocket. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to attach the two pieces that will hold the strap in, and I normally like to attach them where they're more in an angle, to where the strap will be more tilted to my left. So what I will do is that I'm going to position it, and I am going to just take a ruler, and I'm going to put a mark that is, where did I do my pencil? I'm going to put a mark that is 1 inch from the top of the bag, just so I have something to go by. And then I will take my strap holder, and I'm just going to just kind of turn it to my left slightly. And then from that, I will just make a slight outline to give me something to go by when I glue this, to put it back exactly where I want it. So I'll just draw something at the bottom and a line at the top. Not quite sure if you can see it, but I have a line here at the bottom and a line at the top. So I'm going to glue this, and I'm going to attach it back here. Then on the other side, I will do the same thing. About 1 inch. From the top, and I'm going to turn it slightly to my right. The other one I turn to my left. Then I'm going to draw me a line with a pencil that I have to use. So when I glue this down, I have some type of guideline. I'm using contact cement glue, and I'm only putting the glue around the edges. And that's just to hold it on until I sew it. Only around the edges. The other side. what's going to happen, my strap will go inside like this after I sew it. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and sew the strap, sew the 2 strap holders on and the inside. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do our sewing. And basically what I'm going to do is sew this seam at 1/4 inch. Now I will sew the strap holders on, and I'm going to start in the bottom, at the bottom and in the center. And again, I'm going to start at the bottom and in the center. And the reason why I do that is because I do it for a psychological reason, that if when the eye looks at that stitch and it started down in the bottom center, it really doesn't see the start. But if I started somewhere else, it would actually see it quite quickly than it would down here in the center at the bottom. So that's why I always start there. You don't have to do that, but that's just what I do. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch the lines on the inside pocket to separate it. When I do that, I want to make sure that I do at least 4 back stitches to hold that. That's because the drummers will put a lot of sticks inside of those pockets, and to keep it from coming apart, you just want to put your at least 4 back stitches. We'll do the last one. And really, this is all the stitching we have to do, unless we was going to put the shoulder strap on. But on this bag, we're not going to put the shoulder strap on. So now what we'll do, we will attach this strap to the bag. Okay, now what I'm going to do is insert my strap into the strap holder. And then what I will do is that I will make 2 holes for each strap to secure it. I'm using a 3/32 of an inch punch. So I'll punch my hole. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. then I will use a double cap medium rivet. Push the post all the way through. And then I will put my cap on the back. Why is that not going on? Okay. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side. Let me re-punch this hole. All the way through. Now what I'll do, I'll take my hand press setter and set it . And that is my strap. That's my strap for the bag. Now, the next thing is, you don't have to do this, but drummers may love to have it, maybe not, but this is what they can use to hang on the side of the drum, so they can hang the bag and be able to get to their drumsticks. And when it's not being used, it can be pulled inside like this. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it so you can see how it's done. On this one, I put this piece here on it, but on this bag, I did not do that. So I'm going to punch two holes that are 1.25 inches apart. So I'm going to put two holes, put two marks. Where's my, here we go, my pencil. I'm going to put two marks that are 1.25 inches apart. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Make sure I have those. And I think what I'm going to do, punch these holes first. And this is a 1/4 inch round punch that I'm using, because I'm going to use a 1/4 inch grommet. So I'm going to punch these holes first. And then to match them up, I would turn back like this. Just to make sure my holes are matched evenly. And then what I will do, I would take two 1/4 inch grommets. You get 2 more. Put these on the other side. Now, I will close them. Now, I'm going to close them, and I'm using a grommet setter. This is a 3/4 inch grommet setter. So anytime you purchase grommets, make sure you get the right setter for them, because the grommets are different sizes. They need different size setters to set it. So what I did was that I moved the rubber padding off the marble slab, so I have something solid. So I just take this, set this on top. It's not the best looking look, but they do sell grommets that have a backing on them, so when you close them, it doesn't look like this. But I don't have any of those right now, but I want to show you how to do this. Now, what I did was I cut out 2 1/4 inch strips that are 13 inches long. And basically what will happen is that you just take them, I cut myself. Let me stop for a minute. Okay, I cut out 2 1/4 inch strips that are 13 inches long. And basically all you have to do is put them through your grommets, tie a knot, from coming through, and you can make this as long as you want. So now they can hang this on a drum if they choose to. Okay. Okay, this is the drumstick bag. This is the inside of the bag. This is the outside of the bag. And let's zip it up. And that's what it looks like zipped up. Now, like I said before, you can put a shoulder strap on this, and if you feel like that you don't really understand how to do the shoulder strap from watching the messenger bag video, send me a message and I will make a shoulder strap for it to show you how it's done. But I hope you like this, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If you know anyone that works with leather or want to work with leather, pass this on to them. Share it with other people. And again, thank you for watching, and be patient with me because, like I said, I do have many more videos to make. Again, thank you for watching.